I mentioned is when you look at direct variation, these are equations in this form, y equals k times x. Sometimes they'll write them y equals a times x, but this k value or a value is what they call the constant of variation. It's what relates the two variables. Now with inverse variation, these are equations that are in the form y equals a divided by x or y equals k divided by x, depending on what letter your book or your class or your teacher uses to denote the constant of variation. But the thing to notice here is that the x here is in the numerator, and with inverse variation, the x here is in the denominator. Now what we're going to do is we're going to rearrange the equation to solve for the constant of variation. So let's just work with the a here. So if we solve for a, we're going to divide both sides by x. And so you can see that a equals y divided by x. What this means is that if we take all the y values divided by the x values and we get the same a value each time, the same constant, that tells us that this is direct variation, and it's going to be y equals a times x. Okay, now here if we solve for a constant of variation, let's just use this one up here, y equals a divided by x. If we multiply both sides by x, you can see that a is going to equal x times y. So if we multiply the x and y values together and we keep getting the same a value, then that tells us that it's inverse variation. So let's see if I can show you what I mean in these two examples. So first thing we're going to do here is let's see if we multiply. If we multiply the x and y's together, you see how we get 3, 12, 3 times 9 is 27, 4 times 12 is 48. We're not getting the same quantity each time, so that tells us that it's not going to be an inverse variation equation. Let's try dividing. So we're going to take y divided by x. So 3 divided by 1 is 3, 6 divided by 2 is 3, 9 divided by 3 is 3, 12 divided by 4 is 3. We're getting the same a value or constant of variation. So that tells us it's direct variation, and that number that we were getting when we divided each time is our constant of variation, that's 3. So you can see that our formula is going to be y equals 3 times x. Now if you're not convinced, go ahead and pick some of the values for x and see if you get the y values. So if x is 4, 3 times 4 is 12. Yep. If x is 3, 3 times 3 is 9. Yep. So you can verify it that way. And you can see it fits that form of the direct variation. Okay, now let's go to the next one here. Let's see if we divide the y's by the x's like we did over here. 12 divided by 1 is 12. 4 divided by 3 is 1.3 repeating. 2 divided by 6 is 1/3, and 1/12. We're not getting the same constant each time. So that tells us what? That tells us that it's not direct variation. Let's try multiplying. 1 times 12 is 12. 3 times 4 is 12. 12, 12. Okay, so that tells us, okay, this is an inverse variation equation, and our constant of variation is going to be 12. Y equals 12 divided by x. If you're not sure or not convinced, go ahead and test it out. So if we put 6 in for x, 12 divided by 6, yep, that gives us our y value of 2.